Hi, I want to make a video about um, questions for the teacher. Another phrase or title would be, it's not always easy. And when I say questions for the teacher, I don't mean questions that you would bring to a teacher, but questions for you as a teacher or practitioner if you are one. And these are just lessons that I've learned along the way that have helped me to find freedom, mental and spiritual freedom, and a greater sense of my own well-being within, despite any circumstance. Um, and and the reason I make this is because we can sometimes have a thought, especially in the three principles teachings, that it's kind of all good. It's all good, and go with a good feeling and have a nice life, and then we can be surprised when some dark feeling sort of catches us unaware. Some fear or anxiety will arise, and that happens throughout a lifetime. I mean, I've been involved in this work for almost 20 years, and I still go through periods of sadness or anxiety or depression, not nowhere near what I went through in my 20s. Like, it doesn't scare me, but I consider these sort of emotional storms to be a herald of a new freedom to come. And when one has the role of a teacher, there can be many what I would call just ego traps that arise for the teacher or for the leader of some spiritual or self-help or psychological movement. So these are questions that I've asked myself over the years, and they've been helpful for me to be onto my ego and to be onto my fears and where I have misplaced well-being and security. Because in the end, truth will ask for everything from you. And yet what it's asking for is nothing that you would want to keep. You may think you want to keep it, but what truth is asking from you is a total allegiance to the unknown, to formlessness. And so attachments to, for example, being a teacher will arise in some form of distress or conflict. And that's when you want to ask yourself, do I need to be a teacher? Do I feel that well-being, my own well-being, is in being in the role of a teacher? You may be a part of a group, as I was for many years, part of the larger community, part of a community in Santa Clara County, Three Principles Services, part of the Center for Sustainable Change. And it may be that your inner guidance or call for freedom is leading you away. And the questions that arose from within me were, well, do you find your well-being in a group? And there's nothing wrong with finding well-being in a group, but do you feel that you're compromising anything within you? And not that there's anything wrong with the group, but if there's a deeper wisdom in you that's calling forth something different, then it can be quite challenging to ask yourself, do I need to belong to a group? Is that where my well-being lies? Is that where my freedom lies? So, Also being in the public eye as a teacher, do we draw, does the ego draw some power from the fact that we, I don't know, are on television um, or anything on the radio, that we have a book out that is a best-selling book. I don't know. I'm not speaking of anyone in particular, but I am saying that truth is not trivial, and yet it's beautiful, and yet we discover deeper levels of freedom and unconditional well-being that are not related to the personal ego, the personal sense of self, the personal identity. And so as a spiritual teacher, it is essential to be always asking these questions. Am I drawing, let's just say, ego power from my role? Am I drawing ego power from my popularity? Am I deceiving myself somehow about where true well-being comes from and what it is? Because in the end, it's something so simple and so nothing. It's this moment. It's this quiet. It's this silence. And another question to ask oneself is, if one in the role of being a teacher has become so busy that one's own personal life, whether with children or with spouse or just with oneself and one's own household, has become chaotic or dysfunctional or emotionally, sick or unwell, for a gentler word, then what does one truly have to share anymore? So there have been periods in my life where I have had to stop everything and tend to my own personal life, with humility. Maybe seek help or go see another teacher or just sit quietly within. Just because one is very busy or generating lots of income, it doesn't mean anything about one's inner freedom and sense of unconditional well-being, of inner spaciousness. And there can be a fear of letting go of our role or position or income that may be coming in. And yet, like I say, the truth will ask everything from you. Now, this is not something to be afraid of. It's something to rejoice in. Because when Sydney Banks said, "I have overcome this world," that is what he meant. When Jesus said, one must lay down one's life in order to receive eternal life, he was serious. Everything the ego holds dear. And Sydney Banks was quite a taskmaster that way. When he noticed that people were in their egos, and I had been on the receiving end myself, my father certainly had been many times, almost everyone had been. Are we getting puffed up about what we do? And if Sid saw that, he would be on it. If he had permission from that person, if that person had signed up as a student, he would be on it. So with Sid not here, we can ask ourselves, am I finding freedom and well-being completely within, or am I seeking it in the approval of others, in popularity, in my role, in my apparent importance? I once read a quote that I thought was quite good. I think it was maybe from a Buddhist text or a Taoist text. And the quote was, "You can ask others what they think of you, and how you're doing, but only you really know. So ask yourself, you have your own bullshit meter, both for others and for yourself. And it can go either way. It can be, yeah, I think I'm in some kind of bullshit here. It's me, I'm creating it, and I'm thinking I'm hot stuff, or I'm in control, or I need to be in control, or I'm responsible, or I'm so great. Or it can also be, actually, it can be the opposite. It can be, I really am okay, and I can stop looking outside. That's a beautiful way to see it. I can stop looking outside, because the flip side of not finding well-being, true well-being in the outside world, is finding it within, and then finding it in everything. So I hope this video is helpful. I love to hear from people. You can send me an email to info@amychen.com, AMICHEN, or simply go to the website at www.amychen.com. And God bless you, as is always the case.